nudge on your lens. There you go. Welcome to MotorTrend's 2024 Performance Vehicle of the Year.
Our annual celebration of all things cool, quick and exciting. We're here at the fantastic Chuckwalla Valley Raceway.
Do I look as cool as I feel? Probably not.
For 3 days of cold starts, quarter miles, desert smiles and hot laps.
Let me tell you a little bit about what we've got going on. We've chosen 21 of the finest performance vehicles on sale today. I did the math earlier and worked out that we've got 118 cylinders, 8 electric motors, and get this, 10,990 total horsepower. That's pretty cool. Oh, I forgot about this. That's 10,990.7 horsepower. What we're going to do is lap the cars. We're then going to pick which are our favorite 7. We're going to take those on an epic road trip, and then we're going to pick a winner.
This year's field is as varied as it gets. We've got everything from the 181 horsepower Mazda Miata to the 1,234 horsepower Lucid Air Sapphire, and a bit of everything in between. Let me show you around in no particular order. First up, the Maserati MC20 Cello.
621 horsepower and 538 pound-feet of torque from this beautiful, sonorous, in-house developed, engineered and built Maserati twin-turbocharged V6. This engine really is an absolute cracker. Very surprising. The performance is magical. Look at this, 6,000 RPM, 7,000 RPM, 78 and shift. It's just pulling all the way.
This beautiful drop top manages to tread the fine line between stripped out supercar and continent crushing Grand Tourer to perfection. It is as raucous as it is refined, as apocalyptic as it is approachable. Speaking of approachable, this pair of Subarus, the BRZ-TS and the WRX-TR, are either Performance Vehicle of the Year with a point to prove. Performance isn't all about straight line speed. In fact, our PVOTY field will be judged against 6 key criteria: advancement in design, engineering excellence, performance of intended function, value, efficiency, and driver focus and engagement. Subaru will be hoping that the BRZ-TS, an already great handling car now tuned by STI, and the track-ready WRX will impress our judges.
Up next, it's something of an enthusiast special. We've got the quite charming Lotus Emira. Now, Lotus, of course, is a company founded on Formula One technology, winning glory, and their road cars have always, pretty much always, reflected that.
Though they did have a tendency to be a bit unpredictable at times. The interiors weren't great either. Oh, and they like to break down a lot. Thankfully, we see no such problems in the Emira.
Happy to report, it's a little bit more sorted than the Lotuses of old. Yeah, this is cool.
And speaking of enthusiast specials...
Right then, little Miata, let's see what you can do.
You can't talk about great handling sports cars without mentioning the Mazda Miata. For over 3 decades and across 4 generations, this compact 2-seater sports car has been the antidote to everything that's grown to be wrong with the performance car industry. Put simply, this RF Club Edition is one of the best handling cars here.
It's got spectacular weight distribution, and as a result, gorgeous dynamic feel. Spectacular. Best value for money car on the market. Certainly offers the most value of all the cars that we have here.
The Integra Type S, based on the Civic Type R, but with a touch more refinement, specifically in the suspension department. It looks a bit more grown up and it drives like that too. Unlike the A-Spec Integra, the Type S is only available as a 6-speed manual, so you really have to want it. Evoking the JDM hot hatch spirit, albeit riding on 19s and with heated seats, how deep can the new Integra go in this year's competition? The C8 Corvette E-Ray. A big old 6.2-litre V8, the largest displacement engine of any vehicle, a Performance Vehicle of the Year 2024 with an added hybrid system. Underestimate this one at your peril. Next up.
This is kind of the car of the moment, right? The Ioniq 5 was already a spectacular vehicle. It won our SUV of the Year award, and now we have a 641 horsepower version with uprated brakes, revised suspension, and an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. Well, not really, but kinda. It does a really, really good impression of one. Listen to this. This is Hyundai's Active Sound Plus. I gotta remind you, I'm in an EV. Look, watch, I'll hit the red lane, you ready? Look at that! Kick me forwards! That is insane!
An EV with simulated gears and engine noises, now I really have seen everything. On the subject of raucous red lines, the G87 generation BMW M2. Pause for grumblings about the way it looks. You done? Okay, well guess what? I love the way it looks. Not only that, I think it's the best looking BMW currently on sale. It also recently beat a Porsche 718 Cayman 4.0 GTS in a comparison test that we ran because, get this, it was more fun to drive than a Porsche. The M2 is the sweet spot for people looking for a livable, usable sports sedan with an attractive price point. This one even has a manual. I mean, what more could you ask for? Speaking of lookers, we've also got the XM label, the most powerful production BMW M car ever made. And for a £6,000 SUV, it shimmies through the corners with a surprising amount of poise. The GT63 Coupe, the all-wheel drive AMG GT, bigger and heavier than its predecessor, which was the recipient of our 2015 Best Drivers car, no less. How is this one going to stack up? Can it step out from behind the shadow of its older brother? Next, the Lucid Air Sapphire, the most powerful vehicle here, with a staggering 1,234 horsepower.
This is in fact the quickest quarter-mile production vehicle we've ever tested in 75 years of MotorTrend testing, which is miraculous, isn't it? No gears, obviously, so we just accelerate, wind it up. Yeah, we're doing over 100 miles an hour. Whoa!
In summary, driving the Sapphire is like sitting inside a suede-lined pebble and being skimmed across a lake at Mach 2. Something you truly have to experience to believe. The McLaren 750S. A phenomenal machine that'll rearrange your brain and make you forget how to talk.
Mackerel. Wow. Oh, bloody hell. Come on, England. It's like firing off a few rounds in an automatic rifle. Whoa. Bang. Bang. I mean, this thing lives to be north of 100 miles per hour. Chassis feel, body roll, suspension, steering turning, braking, power delivery across those disciplines. The McLaren is kind of hard to beat. Oh, it's so good.
Another of the more exciting cars here, and a direct competitor of the McLaren, is the Ferrari 296 GTB.
So yes, the first non-Dino Ferrari badged Ferrari to be V6 powered, and not just that, it's a hybrid. Jeez Louise! The speed this car can deal out at a moment's notice. It is so immediate and precise. Goodness me. Goodness gracious me. This is a V6. That's insanity. Gear shifts are appropriately aggressive. Oh, a little bit of curve there. Oh my goodness me, this is the one. This is the one. Bloody hell. I have a feeling this car could go far in this competition. Ferrari really showed up with a contender, didn't they? Wow.
The Mustang Dark Horse. In a world of reduced displacement, fear not, as Ford still outfits the Dark Horse Mustang with a big Coyote V8. In fact, it's the most powerful production Coyote to date at 500 horsepower. Still got a V8, still got a 6-speed manual, still absolutely fantastic. And rounding out the pack of the pure asphalt grabbers is arguably the most honed of track cars here.
The GT3 RS, a car which surely needs no introduction, the hardest, most focused version of Porsche's current generation 911. And we've got one here, the Performance Vehicle of the Year. This is very, very exciting. Wow, it's electrifying. Wow, run out of superlatives. Just saying wow a lot. It's honestly incredible.
Now, as for the first time, we open up the field of Performance Vehicle of the Year to off-road focused machines. We go from a 911 to another 911. A 992 generation 911 made to dodge, duck, dip, dive and dodge on sand, rock, mud, snow, or as Porsche called them, rough roads. I'm still not a fan of the livery, but boy oh boy am I a fan of the genre-bending 911 Dakar. The second entry into the I still can't believe they made it category is here too, the Lamborghini Huracan Sturato, a very, 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 very cool car. The sort of car you dream about, but none of us ever really thought anyone would build. And now, look, we have two. Sturato means dirt road, and yep, you guessed it, Lamborghini actively encourages you to take this V10-powered fever dream off-road. Epic. We cannot wait to see how these two face off against each other and how they compare to the other supercars in the group. A pair of excellent GMC trucks next, the Canyon and Sierra 84X AEVs. AEV stands of course for American Expedition Vehicles, so on the Canyon, as well as multimatic dampers, front and rear electronic locking diffs, a 3-inch factory lift, 10.7 inches of ground clearance, and 33-inch Goodyear Wrangler MT tyres, you get a whole host of off-road focused extras. Cannot wait to put all that to good use. And then there's the Sierra, which is a very interesting truck because it's much more unassuming than its rivals, the likes of the F-150 Raptor and the Ram 1500 TRX. It's sort of a sleeper truck, which is very, very cool, and it's going to be lethally quick over the rough stuff. Bringing up the rear in this list, but certainly not on our off-road course, the Ford Ranger Raptor. It's got a 3.5-inch wider track than the standard Ranger, it's running on 33-inch BF Goodrich all-terrains, and of course, tucked up under those big wheel wells is a bunch of off-road magic. The 3 days at the track went a little bit like this. Our 7 judges spent a set number of laps in each of the 21 cars, judging against our of-the-year criteria. Like I said, this wasn't an exercise in lap times, but rather in overall dynamic performance. Here are just a few of the key takeaways from across the board. The Integra Type S is a remarkably well-dialed, trackable car. The McLaren is so good in the corners, it'll take your breath away, literally. The E-Ray is a wild beast, but some found it a little underwhelming. The Mustang Dark Horse has Shelby-level handling and brakes that could stop a freight train. The Lucid Air Sapphire obviously has more power than the average Solar Storm and even puts it down well, but it's just a tad emotionless. On the other hand, the Ioniq 5N is an EV with style, flair, and soul. And the BRZ TS handled the track well, whereas the track-ready WRX did not. But when all was said and done, all the cars lapped, all the off-roaders off-roaded, it was the work of our judges to whittle the field from 21 down to their 7 favourites. And after much deliberation and a little good-spirited arguing, white smoke rose from the porter cabin at Chuckwalla Valley Raceway, signalling that our finalists had been selected. And they were the BMW M2, the Hyundai Ioniq 5N, the Porsche 911 GT3 RS, the Ferrari 296 GTB, the Porsche 911 Dakar, the Ford Mustang Dark Horse, and the Acura Integra Type S. Next, we took those 7 finalists on an epic road trip, looping down from the low desert into the even lower desert, crossing the barren plains, cresting isolated peaks, traversing rocky plinths, climbing, scaling, descending, before finally climbing again, this time into the alpine-like San Bernardino National Forest. It was an excellent drive, which taught our judges a lot about the cars which they hadn't been able to glean at the track. On the roads, the Acura's added civility and comfort really came to the fore, not that you couldn't still hoon it when required. The M2 has the ability to turn even the dullest stretch of road into a great experience, so engaging are its steering, brakes and raucous engine. The 296 is everything we want in a Ferrari, a car which has tackled the subject of mild hybridization with sensitivity, yet which hasn't wimped out. This is Ferrari at their very best. The same can be said of the 750S. Here, McLaren have made a greatest hits with all the great elements from their cars of the past decade. Is it borderline too hardcore for the road? Perhaps. But man, what a ride. Speaking of hardcore, the GT3 RS, a car which came into this with such high expectations. And judging by the smile on people's faces as they got out, you'd have to say it delivered. The other Porsche in the pack, the Dakar, so charming, so fun, great in the dirt, but just as at home on the road, as you would expect from a 911. And finally, the Ioniq 5N, possibly the most discussed car of the week. Full of bells and whistles, meant to engage the driver, but at its core, a fantastic SUV with supercar power figures. And after all of that, a nice dinner, a lot more debating, and then our judges finally decided on their winner.
And so the winner of MotorTrend's 2024 Performance Vehicle of the Year is the BMW M2.
Across our 6 OTY judging criteria, advancements in design, engineering excellence, performance of intended function, value, efficiency, and driver confidence and engagement, the M2 passed with flying colours.
The chassis feel, the steering feedback and the suspension work evoke the days when BMW led the industry in performance-oriented sedans and coupes. It's fantastic. Oh. Despite being a fairly heavy vehicle, it's around 3,748 pounds. The M2 has a decidedly light feel. The steering, for example, is wonderfully light but nicely weighted, allowing for accurate driver input.
Everything comes together and makes this car feel very special to drive. The BMW M2, our 2024 MotorTrend Performance Vehicle of the Year. Truly an ultimate driving machine.
And with that, we are done. That is a wrap on MotorTrend's 2024 Performance Vehicle of the Year. And what a week it has been. 21 vehicles, 1 moto compacto, a whole lot of fun. We've had a great time. Thank you very much for joining us. Make sure to get onto motortrend.com, read all the articles, look at all the beautiful photographs. We do this for you. We also do it for us, but we mostly do it for you. Thank you very much.